Welcome everybody to And Another Fucking Thing. That's where me and my friends talk about the latest political happenings that are going on, along with some of the other crazy things going on in this world that we're living in. But of course, I'm Skip France. It's lovely to be here with all of you. On the other end, we have the mighty librarian, as always, Godfrey. How's it going, y'all? Another day in Stephen Miller's proverbial paradise.
Yeah, it's the sun's coming up and I ain't slept yet, so good stuff.
I'm not hurt, cut, and bleeding, so I'm gonna go ahead and call that a win right now.
So we should talk about what we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm.
How like the entire right-wing ecosphere is crashing out.
Well, more specifically, that one video that Tony posted where like it was that woman talking about how Texas received like $12 million to upgrade their siren system, and they were like, that's communism, and then blew it on the sheriff's department.
Oh yeah.
Which, like, I thought that when you allocate money federally like that, like, you have to spend it on specific things, but, waste, fraud, and abuse, whatever. Like, and I'm just like,
I'm a sweet fit.
And then I, in either your Discord or somebody else, or Tony's Discord, someone posted that Texas, the governor is now calling a special session to redraw districting maps, and I'm just like it's like they wake up every morning and say, how can we be bigger dicks to the people?
It's just like,
let's not address the flooding,
but instead,
why don't we call a special session not to help people in flood zones or send rescue teams, but redistrict maps, because we could potentially lose again, because we woke up yesterday trying to screw over the people.
I have a question. If you put a pair of like those little floaty things they give to kids, put on their arms, if you put some of those on Greg Abbott's wheelchair, you think he could go in and then he could be floater Nazi.
Nazi, it's like a Nazi buoy.
Inflated Nazi. Yeah.
Inflated Nazi. Wild, wacky, inflatable tube Nazi.
Yeah, that's what they have standing in front of Tesla dealerships.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't actually like wave back and forth. It just Sig Heils.
Yeah, wacky waving inflatable Sig Heils tube man.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But it's almost hard to feel sorry for some of these people in Texas, because it's not just the elected officials that denied that federal money to upgrading their siren system. The people also said that's communism, and we're okay with it being. So it's like
I feel bad for the kids because they have absolutely no choice in the matter. Yeah, but it's the adults that are responsible for this. And the thing that's making me real pissed off about the hand wringing, Allison, is that they just don't want to be held accountable. That's all it is.
Did you see what happened in Oklahoma?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And another fucking thing.
And another fucking thing.
Right?
No, Yeah.
You didn't see what? Okay, so in Oklahoma, there was a terrorist attack on a weather forecast station. The guy went in there and smashed all the shit up because he was under this right-wing impression, this conspiracy theory that the weather is fake and they're just using it to, defame Republicans. Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it, them.
I mean, he's going to prison for a while, but it's like, look what they're causing. Like, their lies are causing.
All right, so I don't say this like how right-wing people say this. I say this in the best interest of everybody, okay? We're at a point now where reality is different for most people.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
And we have a few groups of reality. And people want to do their own research, and I say research like research.
Like they watch
Because,
YouTube.
like, yeah, they watch YouTube, or
They got trust me,
I just
bro.
think it might be time. I think it just might be time for a national trial separation.
maybe we need to see other countries.
Right?
I'm being for real, because
Yeah.
you know what, Texas, you do you, boo. And I don't think we even need to have a war over this.
No.
Like, because you know what, New York, California, you keep your wealth and your money, and you do you, boo. Like, you're trying to help the crackhead brother who they ask for money for rent and they spend it on drugs. You know what? Let them. We're just enabling this shit. You know what, Oklahoma? The weather isn't real. You go do you, and like let's give this like a 5-year, because you won't. I think we probably only need 6 months, but let's give it a full 5-year trial separation. Let's operate like Canada or the EU, where we're together but separate. Like,
Separate but
I
equal.
think.
This is what I think.
I mean, I think it's.
Go ahead. Keep going, but I'll give you my theory.
I think I think it would be impossible to completely separate. Like, each state is its own country. I mean, because like you look at where I live, people live in Georgia, commute to Alabama. People live in Alabama, commute. Like, we're too integrated into one another to separate into separate countries. But maybe like the EU, where they have, a shared interest, where they have shared, and it's in their interest to have the same currency and all that kind of shit. But they're separate. Like, they're two different countries. You get in Germany, you're not also in trouble in, like, France, and vice versa. So I think it just might be time.
Yeah, separate but equal states.
I think that what you should do, how we could solve this, is what I think. I think that I saw this video on the internet, and it's one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard. If you vote blue, you get a blue card. If you vote red, you get a red card. Now, when the time comes that you need to get seen at a clinic, well, if you voted for a red card, you don't get to go to the places that aren't getting funding. If you voted with a blue card, well, you're allowed to go to those places. You're allowed to get health care. If you're a woman, you're allowed to, basically, you're only allowed to have the policies that you voted for. And I'd be so interested to see just how many red cards would turn blue, or how fast there'd be an underground market for blue cards. Like, think of all the benefits that were just ripped away in the big bullshit bill. Well, there's going to be things in that they're going to be like, I wish that that was still there. And be like, well, if you voted blue, it'd still be there.
I've been saying this for a while about, like, religious people and scientists. It's like all these people that want to deny science. Like, okay, well then you throw it all out. Throw all of it out. You don't get the benefits of science. You go home, you take all your prescription medications, and you fucking flush them. That's it. You don't get any of the benefits of science.
Exactly. Like, you can have the King James.
Mm-hmm. You don't get to drive a car.
Like, when I was growing up, I grew up in a Catholic household, but it wasn't like militant Catholic. It was more like we did it because that's just what you do. But there was definitely, like, some religious structure. Bear with me. This has a point. my sister, when she was born, I'm 6 years older than her. So when she was born, all of a sudden she didn't look right. And my parents did not sit there and say, something ain't right, let's start praying. They're like, something ain't right, let's go to the hospital. And then they thanked God that they did, because she had jaundice and could have died, like, as an infant. Because jaundice is essentially leads into kidney failure.
Yeah,
So,
she had the yellow sheen to her.
She hadn't gotten the yellow sheen yet.
Okay.
But like something, she didn't look right. And you know, and it's pretty treatable. Like, it's very treatable, actually. It's not uncommon for infants to get jaundice. So anyway, now these days, the same thing happened to a couple who tried to pray it away. And they didn't want to go to the hospital because God was going to take care of it. I don't understand how it's a zero-sum game now. Like, why can't God create medicine? Like, that was the mindset like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, was like, God works through people.
Well, people realized that they couldn't really grift off of that.
Fair enough. It's just a lot of medications are naturally derivative. Actually, most medications have a natural derivative from. Like, antibiotics stems from mold. Like, you know,
it's true.
And I know that's like the penicillins and, you know, but essentially it comes off of the idea of mold and bacteria, because they help infection, which is from mold and bacteria. So I just don't understand, like, why now it's either science or religion, when they kind of work in tandem.
Something similar actually happened to me when I was 18 months old. I had chicken pox really young. I was 18 months old, and yeah, my very, very religious parents called my extremely religious grandmother, who was a nurse, and they're just like, oh, there's something seriously wrong with him. Temperature's like 104. It was insane. And she's just like, you don't need to worry unless he starts having trouble breathing. And they look over at me, and I'm just like laying there. Like, okay, take him to the ER. He's got to go like right now. And, you know, I get there, and they basically, you know, strip me naked and put like cooling packs on me and give me a shot of Benadryl and shit. Like, and I'm alive now, but
yeah, why does that have to be a zero-sum game?
Yeah, they didn't pray for it.
Why does it have to get there? And then, like, I had chicken pox when I was a lot older. Like, I was 14 when I got chicken pox. And I had the same thing just as a teenager. And chicken pox is not, like, it's not, a lot of people, it's nothing. You know, it's just, you're itchy for a few days, and then I should have gone to the ER, bro. My parents were considering taking me to the ER because I had 105 fever and I was delirious. And they were going to give it, like, because my parents weren't rich and we live in this bullshit medical system, they really did not want to pay an ER bill. So, all right, let's give it, you know, they gave me Tylenol. They let's give it one more hour, see if it breaks, and if it doesn't, then we'll take her. And then my fever broke, and you know, I start, like, the fever part, I mean, that was like one of my top 5 sickest I've ever been was chicken pox. That was all. That was fucking awful.
I'm pretty happy I don't remember that experience. Like I said, I was only 18 months old, but yeah, didn't sound good. Didn't sound fun. And I'm sure they prayed on the way to the hospital, but they went to the fucking hospital.
I got shingles as an adult and thought I was dying.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
Yep. I literally went into the hospital. It was like, because the worst part was, like, it had gone into the nerves in my teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I had it on my face. And I had no idea what was going on. I was like, there's no way that, like, I got just a mouthful of cavities at once out of nowhere. So that's pretty impossible. And I finally was just like, okay, fuck this. And I went into the VA, and I was like, into the emergency room, and they was like, can I help you? I was like, hi, I think I'm dying.
You know, my grandfather, he fought in World War II, He survived the Great Depression. One of the only things I ever saw him get scared over was getting shingles again. So same story, like chicken pox, right? Now it leaves you open to shingles. Probably about 6 months before that, my grandfather recovered from shingles. And he had a really, really bad case of it. And it was very painful because he had it on his face too. I don't remember all the details of it, but he was very, very ill from it and in a writhing in pain from what I don't even know what the shingles actually are, but and so like when my household started, because my mother got it first. She had somehow managed to evade chickenpox in her childhood, so she was really sick. And so once my mother came down with it, my grandfather was like, "Yo, we'll see you in a couple months," because they lived like 5 minutes away in the same town. So it was not uncommon to see them multiple times a week. But my grandfather was like, "Yo, you have a good couple of months while your family fights this, and we'll call you."
So that Hello 8 sign that I just passed, I'm not sure if they actually have that right here on the highway in California, but in Ohio on 71 they have one that says "Hell is real." Like that's that's an actual sign.
Yeah, it's called Texas.
Yeah.
Dude, like,
is that like the God is Not Dead movies?
I don't want to hear the hand wringing from the right wing about Texas because they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They only care because they're gonna be held accountable. And that's the thing, is they don't fucking care until they have to be held accountable. And then the moment that they need to be held accountable, then they try to find their way to wriggle out of it, like being like, I can't believe the left is trying to politicize these deaths. No, we're trying to actually make sure this shit doesn't happen again.
No, like,
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I am politicizing it because it's all about politics right now. All of it.
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb right here and say that every time that Ted Cruz says that the left is politicizing this for their agenda, I'm going to say he's correct. I'm going to agree with him. Do you know why? Because our fucking agenda is public safety.
So I'm just going to say what I've been saying. They never meant anything they ever said. They've been lying to you all our lives. They have no principles. They have no morality. They have no integrity. They will say anything that's it.
Yeah, they'll say anything to get elected, and then if you try to hold them accountable at the time, instantly you were taking it out of context, or it's always fucking something.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
that's
I
why.
fully believe.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I was going to say that's why I'm so amazed to see this crash out that's happening, where there's bipartisan agreement on the fact that Trump sucks. If you look at the comments under people like Tim Pool, people like Asmongold, like all the big right-wing streamers, the conservative twins, it's astounding to see what they're saying. Because that I saw the actual line that said that one lie can wipe out all that truth that he's told this whole time.
Or maybe it can expose more lies.
I think that's what I honestly think. Stay with me here. But I think that there's people that they know that Trump he's losing it. He's been doing extremely unpopular shit, and he's going to lose the midterms. This is their chance for them to start to jump ship. And they have a reason to.
I mean, how about all the other people that just don't give a shit that he's a PDF file?
Or say that they can forgive him. Like, did you see that one fucked up meme?
Yeah, I saw that. It's like, oh, everyone has flaws. It's like, yeah, that's
bro.
Not just like a little character
that's not a
flaw.
flaw.
Like,
okay,
it's
it's a flaw.
You're telling us about yourself at this point, bro.
Right? It's like, that's not like him being a drug addict or an alcoholic or some shit. That's criminal. That's not just a character flaw.
Yeah, that's a crime. That is a fucking felony. Well, not to mention a serious character flaw as well.
Yeah. But it's like, no, you can't just dismiss that and be like, oh, everyone has problems. Like, yeah,
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When your problem hurts kids,
Yeah.
like
Then we have a problem.
Directly hurts kids. You know, like you could argue drugs hurt kids. You know, when a parent's a drug addict. You know.
Yeah, you can use
them.
semantics, but there's no semantics with this shit.
That. A drug addict parent affects a kid.
Okay.
A PDF file hurts a child.
Right.
And they're two different concepts.
Yeah.
And like a child who's in a home with a parent who's a drug addict, they might have some related trauma, but the other traumatizes the child.
Well, the thing.
So go fuck yourself.
The thing is, everybody, it doesn't matter whether you're left, whether you're right, agrees with this, and everybody, whether you're left or whether you're right, can tell when somebody is really, really bullshitting. And if you can't read that Pam Bondi is bullshitting 100%, I have nothing for you.
Well, like what I was going to say earlier, it's like, yeah, I have tons of faults, but none of them will put me on a registry.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Hey, yeah, it's like I got problems, I got plenty of faults, but none of them are going to get me on a registry.
Yeah.
I'm still better. Yeah, I'm still better than that. My worst flaw is definitely nowhere even remotely close to.
Well, the other thing that has given this teeth is that Elon is straight up like saying he is in the files. Like, you know what I mean? He left zero, and I do mean zero ambiguity to it.
And here's the thing. The same people who are saying everybody has flaws are the same people who want to put people to death over this.
Or want to put people in concentration camps just for being here while still calling themselves a Christian. Where is this fucking delivery? Yeah, that's like we said in our last stream. The moment that you started selling concentration camp merch, you became my nemesis. Where is this fucking reefer delivery at?
This time, we're not just the resistance, we're the defiance. Speaking of, did you see what happened in Los Angeles?
As far as MacArthur Park?
No, where basically ICE got swarmed by a bunch of people and had to retreat. Right.
Well then.
People were just jumping all over them, and it's like, all right. Yeah.
So they were actually like physically making contact with the officers?
Oh yeah, they were grabbing them and pulling them off of people. And at one point, ICE had to point their guns at people and threaten them with lethal force. But
yeah, it's not good.
They're gonna open fire one of these days.
That's not good.
Yeah, remember what sparked the civil rights movement?
Mm-hmm.
It was them opening fire.
The moment that they open fire, the history books change.
Yep, exactly.
Like then you got your Crispus Attucks, you got your, you know what I mean? Like you got your Buffalo Springfield tunes.
You got to realize this is America. There's 380 million guns for 330 million people. Like you don't want to open fire on a crowd of people because after that you're fucked.
Yeah, it's a hell of a reaction. Let's put it that way. What were you saying?
And you know,
Sorry.
The thing that makes us awful is the thing that will actually save us. Like gun violence. Like, you know, it makes us awful. but it also is going to be our saving grace. Like, because yeah, that you can't. Okay, sure, you can sit there like to take away Americans' guns, which I think we're way too armed. In the respect of, I don't think regular people should have, or at least teenagers, 18-year-olds should not be able to buy an AR-15. That's just my personal opinion. However, with that said, too many American households own those types of guns. So, like, go ahead and like repeal the Second Amendment. Try to take away, like, it's not possible. It's just not possible to take away the guns, because you'd have to go house to house to house, and that's just not.
It's just a poor idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could, but it would take. I don't even know how long that could possibly take.
I'm imagining someone rolling up on my grandpa's property who this man makes his own bullets. Rolling up on his property saying that we're here to confiscate your guns, and he's a card carrying NRA member. Like, I can only imagine how that would work.
So here's the thing, like the 2A bros love to say, like, guns don't kill people, people kill people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. So we should be very careful what people we have carrying guns. And my example for this is Switzerland. In Switzerland, you can buy more types of guns than you can buy right here in the United States. Their gun homicide rate, quarter of what ours is. And that's because you have to pass a background check and you have to have a psychological evaluation. It's easy. We could easily cut our homicide rate, in a quarter. No problem.
Yeah,
just like but we don't.
Like, if school gun violence is like, it has mass shootings in general are usually white males 18 to 22. Like, yep. I don't understand why it's controversial to limit 18-year-olds from buying a fucking AR-15. Like, I don't understand why it's like almost every single mass shooting. And just because there's one or two that isn't a white 18 to 22-year-old male does not change. Like, it's like most serial killers are white males. Sure, there's a couple that are female, a couple that might be black or Hispanic or whoever. But, like,
for the most part,
if we know the most likely active shooter, I mean, like, that is wild to me. It is fucking wild.
Well,
that's controversial.
I want to know why MAGA went quiet about the sniper from the firemen once they found out that it was a Trumper as opposed to trans. And they kept trying to say that the person was trans because they can't ever admit when it's one of theirs.
Yeah, like Captain Turk is saying, it's the guns. So he's from Australia, and like Australia had one big mass shooting, Port St. Arthur massacre, and they fucking got rid of that shit immediately. And they haven't had any major mass shootings since then. Australia knew how to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
I don't get what the fuck they want me to be looking for here.
It's not like European countries aren't allowed to have firearms. They're just not allowed to have them like we can. And they have more.
Like I said, there's different laws in different countries. Like Switzerland is one of the most open about it. Like you can. And then there's other countries like fucking Finland and Norway where like you basically can't have shit.
Yeah, Captain Terp is asking me what am I looking for in this gigantic green circle right here. Apparently there's a weed stash. I don't know where it is, but
I bet that dude in that car has it. You should take him out and beat him.
So it just ended up being the wrong dude. already stole one vehicle.
And actually, the largest the largest mass murder in Norway in the past couple of decades was a guy that he had to spend almost $400,000 and go to Switzerland. Like, he tried to go in the black market, but he couldn't do it. He had to go to Switzerland and smuggle them across the border using his business connections from his business that he made all this money on, and spent about $400,000. And all he got himself was a Beretta 92 and a Ruger Mini 14. Yeah, and that was one of the most deadly shootings in the history of Norway. Might be the most, actually. He also used an Ampho bomb, big ass.
And like, you know, I mean, speaking of, you know, shootings and whatnot, I'm getting so tired of the gaslighting about being like violence is coming from the left when there's literally 2 assassinations that happened in Minnesota. And it's the moment that the right wing finds out that it's one of theirs, it's crickets. Dude, this is getting ridiculous. Trying to find this fucking stupid stash.
Feels like he does that. He kills those firefighters. You know, for whatever reason. Like, so he's MAGA, and then MAGA turns on him like, no, I wonder how that feels for him. I wonder how that makes him see. To know that, like, you know, you thought you'd get celebrity from this, and instead they just call you trans. Like,
you make such a valid point.
Like that gives me a little satisfaction. You know, obviously it's a terrible thing. Like, obviously what he did is terrible. I'm not like,
I completely get it. Yeah. But he thought he was going to be this hero for the cause.
Yeah, you thought you'd be famous. Yeah. Now they're saying you don't even have a dick. Yep. Good shit.
Well done. You really struck a blow for the white race there.
Oh, yeah, right. You're an alpha male.
Mm-hmm. Is that some kind of furry thing?
Maybe. I don't know.
So,
by the way, any dude that has to say they're an alpha male is not.
It's true.
Totally. Oh, totally.
Dude, have you seen my reaction to alpha male TikTok?
Yeah, I did.
What were you saying, Ellen?
Nothing says beta cuck like saying you're an alpha male. Like, God. God, if I actually heard somebody say that in real life, like, for real, I've never heard anybody say that in real life.
I have.
Like, trying to do that. But, like, nothing will make me burst out laughing harder than if I heard that.
Well, see, being an alpha male is like being a black belt. It's an accolade that you don't give yourself. You earn it.
Or it's just something that you just do without saying. Like, you just understand that. Like, also, 9 times out of 10, anyone that's talking to you about being an alpha male is trying to sell you something. Like, wait for the pitch. You'll always get, like, at least, like, you know, like some sort of like bootleg course on how to degrade women in a Dollar Tree fashion. And
you know, I had to check out this weekend because my brain was breaking, so I checked out.
I get
got
it.
Into my dark vampire. Well, they weren't vampires, but you know, my dark fantasy fiction mood. So anyway, so I put on an audiobook series that's really popular, the A Court of Thorns and Roses. I got into that series, and you know, it's like heroin now. But anyway, that's not.
So
what popped into my head, like reading it or listening to it this weekend, was American film and books, the American hero. Like, why do we love G.I. Joe? Why do we love Captain America? Why are our heroes heroes? And it's never the alpha cuck that's the hero. The hero is always has a disadvantage, and he's like a humble.
It's the plucky underdog.
It's the underdog that's usually the hero, and a lot of times the hero isn't necessarily the biggest dude in the room, but we typically love the heroes that are like, look at Lex Luthor and Spider-Man. Like
Superman.
Lex Luthor is the. I'm sorry. Who's the villain in Spider-Man?
Yeah, a couple different ones, but there's like Dr. Octopus.
Doc Ock. What was
the
his
original?
Name? What? Played Green Goblin.
Yeah. Well, most of the villains in Spider-Man are bigger than Spider-Man himself.
Mm-hmm.
And technically they're wealthier, they're the alpha cuck of like people who are like, I should be the hero because I'm so big and rich and this and that. But it's Spider-Man, who's much smaller than all, like physically, and he's not rich. His parents are killed. His grandparents or his parents are dead. His grandparents are killed. It's never the alpha guy or the guy who claims he's the alpha who's the actual hero of the story.
You have to understand that Matt Walsh made a video like praising Gaston.
Yeah, that's a great one. Perfect.
Exactly.
That's the perfect.
Yeah.
Gaston is the cringy villain.
Yeah.
And who's the one who's advocating that he's the hero?
The right wing. They're like
Walt Disney, who was a Nazi. Wait, what?
Well, it's really great if you think about it, though. He was like the literal, was made to be the idea of toxic masculinity before that was really an idea or really a thing. And anybody that gets all like up in their shit and says that toxic masculinity doesn't exist, they're up in their shit because they're projecting, because we all know that it does. Because ask, 9 times out of 10, I'd like to think that the ladies they'd look at somebody like Gaston and be like, fuck that dude. He's a dick.
So I'm going off of the Disney version of Beauty and the Beast because I don't actually know the fairy tale or whatever. But so for all the book nerds that might be listening, I don't actually know the real story. I'm going off of Disney's version. So the Beast was an alpha cuck. That's why he's the Beast. It's a curse because he was a dick. And so Belle, she, in the end, the alpha cuck turned humble is the one that wins the girl in the end. Now, there's a lot wrong with the whole idea of Beauty and the Beast. I get that. But, just we're looking at the strong male and female characters.
I have a somewhat unrelated question, because you're talking about how you love fantasy, right? Allison?
Yeah.
Have you watched the series Supernatural?
Why would you not?
I tried, so here's the thing. I don't like all fantasy.
Why are you not working?
I am more and it's hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah.
So I tried getting into Supernatural. I couldn't. Maybe it's I gotta give it another try. Sometimes I'll try a series, and then I'm just not into it.
What am I missing here?
I don't know if I can get that. I just started watching it, but it's like I do love the leads. The 2 leads are fucking great actors.
So
I'll let you know how it goes.
I'm more into and
What?
it's really recently. I think it's just the escapist element of it that I really enjoy. Like it's a out there plot with unrealistic things, and so I gave a lot of times I'll pick a really popular series that people have been talking about, and all right, let's give it a shot. And more times than not, I'm like, okay, this is crack. I don't like the Court of Thorns and Roses series as much as some did,
What the fuck, dude?
but it's definitely crack. Like where I need to know what happened.
So like, I don't read a lot of fantasy. I mostly read sci-fi. But like the last fantasy book I read was what was it called? What was it called? The Black Army by Glenn Cook. The Black Company, yeah, by Glenn Cook. Like, pretty good. Like, there's a whole series based on it.
I can get into sci-fi for some reason. Like a lot of genres, maybe it's just you get older and your tastes change. But like, I never used to get into fantasy or sci-fi, but now I find myself really enjoying the sci-fi themes that I never thought I could.
Yeah, if you're into sci-fi, like, definitely check out Alistair Reynolds. He's my favorite sci-fi author. Like his Revelation Space Theory series is amazing. And then there's some other books if you just only want to read one book that are really good. Yeah, he's definitely, I think, the best currently writing science fiction author.
One book I wanted to read/listen to was Foundation, because I really liked the series, and that one's starting back up soon. I think next week.
Yeah, I have that book on my shelf, and I have not read it yet. I love Asimov. I have other Asimov books that I've read, but I have not read that one.
My dad really loved Isaac Asimov, and I never really gave it a thought. I bet he even has the book. But yeah, he's read a lot of his stuff.
You should ask him next time, and this will bring up a political conversation, if he's read The Gods Themselves. Because The Gods Themselves is basically about climate change. They're warned of a global disaster. They don't fucking listen. It's basically about climate change before, like, and this was in the late 40s that it was written. Fucking amazing. But yeah, like, see if he's read that one. That's actually one of the few of his I've actually read all the way through.
Yeah, I think my parents, like, when it comes to, I don't consider my parents like true MAGA, because they're not batshit. Like, they don't look at Trump as an ideology. They're more of, they can't fathom voting for a Democrat. I don't think they've ever voted for a Democrat, like, ever in their lives. Because, like, when the vaccine came out, my parents, like, it wasn't a question. They got the vaccine because they're old and, like, they're not anti-science. Like, so I don't know how they feel about. I've never really talked to them about climate change. They're like, they have eyes, so there's a lot that they can't. But even though they have eyes, they also can, like, cognitively disassociate easily. Like, just because something's happening doesn't mean they're going to vote for a Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's just the way my parents are. Like, we started out this conversation. One of my first things I said, I was raised Catholic because that's just what you do. And I went through all the Catholic stuff, like sacraments and stuff, because that's just what we did. And, like, the thought of, like, my aunt, who's really cool, I actually don't know what her political viewpoints are. I hate to believe she's a Trump supporter, just based on her other actions. But anyway, like,
Whoa, I'm gonna sub.
I lost my train of thought.
Like, the same thing I say to my family every single time one of these things happens, like the floods in Texas or whatever. I just say it's just like, what did you think they meant, 30 years ago when they said more severe and more frequent weather events? Like, I don't know what you thought they meant. This is it. That's just what I do.
If we can't change weather, then how can we control weather? Like, they don't believe climate change is man-made or man-induced, but they also believe that we can control the weather. So which is it?
Like, that's the thing I really hate, because they made it into this political discussion, and it's like, why are we doing this? We inadvertently stumbled upon the control knobs for the entire world's weather system. Let's use it. Let's control it. We can take CO2
I know
out.
why.
Put it in. Like,
I know exactly why that's becoming a thing more and more. Because there's a movie with Gerard Butler, Geostorm, I think it's called, where he creates this system that orbits Earth, and to combat climate change, like, they send like rockets to the Earth and it disperses shit into the atmosphere. So if there's like a really huge hurricane brewing, they're able to like send shit into it to break up the storm clouds. That type of thing. It's a really good movie. It's a very clever adaptation, sci-fi / apocalyptic movie. It's very clever. But
you want to know something?
I bet you that's why.
You want to know something really interesting? In order to completely dissolve the effects of climate change, all it would take is a solar reflector that is equal to the weight of 1 year's worth of Earth's aluminum production. That's it. 1 year.
Oh.
And we could build a solar reflector that would completely counteract climate change. Not even a joke. Like,
I'm going the wrong fucking way.
I don't know. That's probably not even all that hard to construct, is it? Like,
nope. It's just aluminum, and of course, the only problem is you probably need to construct it on the moon, because launching it from Earth would be really hard. But like that, again, also not that difficult. Like, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. I
mean, they built the space station in space, right? And Hubble in space. So I can't imagine it would. I mean, I'm sure it's a challenge. I'm sure it's a challenge. But like, we've done hard things like that.
They repaired Hubble in space because it had a flaw. And like, so I used to work in aerospace, and I worked with a guy at one point when we were like testing the flight computers for a spacecraft. And he's just like, oh, come on, back when I tested Hubble, we just actually tested Hubble, not like engineering demonstrations. And I was just like, you probably shouldn't brag about testing Hubble because you fucked up. Like, they had to fix that thing in orbit.
Yeah, because wasn't there a scratch in the lens or something like that?
No, the machinery that created the actual parabolic lens was miscalculated, and the entire parabolic lens was blurred. Like, they had to actually
go... Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to go put a corrective lens on it for the collector so that they could actually, see things through Hubble. And it's been working since then, but yeah. Like, I was just like, man, you probably shouldn't brag about testing Hubble because that didn't turn out great. Like, why don't you brag about testing the Challenger too?
Oh, fuck. God damn thalassophobia.
Speaking of exploding rockets, why can't Elon ever launch a rocket that doesn't explode?
I love watching our tax dollars just go up in flames. It's kind of awesome.
Like, he said he was going to launch cargo to Mars by the next launch window, which, by the way, is November of 2026 at the latest. Probably October of 2026. He hasn't even made a Starship to orbit yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's already expecting like supplies and goodies to be going up there to his colonies, and he can't even get one rocket up there to get the fucking thing established.
I'm not sure if this company was SpaceX, but I distinctly remember this because I remember like damn near having a panic attack because if I think about space too much, it bends my brain a little bit. So
that's like me right now underwater
in a tube, and like I can get like I can think of the claustrophobia and like it. Anyway, I digress. So it was probably 2012-ish, 2011, 2012. And I'm not sure if it was SpaceX or somebody else, but there was a company that was convinced that by 2025, the first colony would be set up on Mars. There were even people already selected to go to Mars.
Mars 1.
By 2020.
It was called Mars 1, yeah.
And, like, you know, they had already gone through, like, I don't think the team was selected, like, but they had narrowed down a pool of, like...
It's a whale!
Like, 1,500 people. They narrowed down a pool of, like, 20. And it was, like, based on mostly psychological testing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people like me will panic, you know, being not just like...
Yeah, it was called Mars 1. It was basically you're a colonizer. You're not an explorer. You go there and you stay there.
Yeah, it was definitely a one-way trip.
Yeah. Like that failed, but yeah, that's what it was called. It was called Mars 1. But yep.
But I don't think we're going to Mars this year. I think we have enough problems.
I think we've got other things to worry about right now than going to Mars.
Well, here's the thing. There were plenty of problems in Spain, 1492. Still are. Like, it's not. We don't have to deal with our problems here to explore.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's fair. I don't think Elon's going to Mars, though.
Yeah, he's not, but we have SLS. SLS is working. They've made several test launches. It should be able to get 121 tons to low Earth orbit, which is enough to do a Mars mission if you do it right. Yeah.
That's wild. That bends my brain. I mean, I get it. I get how it works, but it's still mind-bending.
Great. There's an absolutely excellent book by the guy that designed the first Mars mission in 1989. It's called The Case for Mars. If you want an interesting read, pretty heavily scientific, but it's a very interesting read. Yeah.
Is that video that you showed? Well, you didn't show it to me specifically, but I watched it.
I posted some of his lectures before. Same guy that wrote that book. Yeah.
I really enjoyed his lectures because he broke down a lot of complicated shit for people like me who won't understand. Like, I'm sure there's a way more complicated way he said what he said, but he broke it down so people like me can understand, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, he's quite a good speaker. And yeah, I just, like, I've read his book many times. It's really good, and it's like, yeah, we can definitely do this. It's just you have to have the political and economic will to do it. I mean, pretty much it.
Well, if it involves poor people getting anything and rich people getting less, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
No.
It seems to be, however, the rallying cry for the midterms, the congressionals, is, he's at historic unpopularity. The bill is at historic unpopularity. ICE is completely overreaching. And now the Epstein files, like, midterms are not looking good for the red team right now.
I cannot wait to see Gabe Evans bent over fucked. Like, I cannot stand that guy. He's a lying piece of shit. Like, I cannot wait to see him not in office. Like, however it happens. Like, but there's a lot of good contenders running against him. I don't think he has a chance. Especially because he's basically a barnacle on Trump's ass.
See you around, Terp. If you are in the Discord, feel free to jump in the Viper Pit if you want. But give me a second here.
Is that sub covered properly? It'll be fine if we just get there. Are you being
There is a small chance that Colorado will go, 7-1 Democrat. Because Bobert's old district is a super close one.
Oh, yeah?
And my current district is a super close one. And actually, no, so it'd be 2-6, wouldn't it? 6-2. Because the Springs district, that's never going to go. Bird or whatever the fucking name is. He's always going to win. And Bobert's always going to win fourth. Or some other Republican.
I think it's pretty damn important that we start getting the message machine working, because the thing is about the right is they never ever stop messaging, and they're always in lockstep with each other. And this wedge is the first time I've seen anything like this. Like, to see the amount of crashing out that's happening, where Alex Jones is crying, and then people are like, "What? Look at you, Trump! You made Alex Jones cry. This man is a national treasure." And you're like, "What?"
Right? It's like, all because he doesn't want us to talk about Epstein being his best friend anymore.
But they were such good friends. Why doesn't he want to be friends anymore?
Yeah, like, there's plenty of videos of you guys just
Palling around.
Palling around. You even brought your kids with you on the jet. Like, remember that?
But I mean, obviously there's the diehard cultists that are gonna make excuses no matter what. But I was not expecting to see the comments that I've seen so far, and just realizing that people might use this as their opportunity to unhitch the wagon, so to speak. And, using almost like the opposite of the Mike Pence effect. The Mike Pence effect being, I didn't vote for Trump, I voted for Pence because he stands for what it is that I want. And if it's the opposite, be like, I voted for Trump, he didn't give me the Epstein files, so I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally the perfect time.
I have a question. How many billionaires are you going to get on the sub you're stealing?
Did you hear Bill Burr rip that shit apart?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay, give me 1 second. I think I can play it in the background. 1 second.
Let me give me some water real fast. Back.
Okay. I found it. Perfect. know when you're back. What's my next object I need to do? I think I got all my objects taken care of with this dude. Are you back?
Oh yeah, I'm back.
Okay, I'll go ahead and fire this up. It's Bill Burr's take on the on the Ocean Gate situation.
What officials now presume to be the deaths of the 5 passengers on an undersea sightseeing trip to the resting place of another disaster, the Titanic.
I have to tell you, like, this should be required viewing by anybody who is not a narcissist. I don't even know where to begin with this guy. Full-on narcissist, psychopath. This is psychological makeup. It's called the dark triad. And any person who's not a fucking narcissist should know about it and should be looking for these traits in people so you don't date it, you don't work for it, it's not in your life or anything. It's basically 3 sides of the triangle. It's narcissism, Machiavellism, and psychopath.
I became
and just
obsessed with it. Like when it was happening.
He's playing it on his Twitch. If you unmute his Twitch, you can hear.
Oh yeah, no, I know. This is separate thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like I was obsessed with that news story. I think my obsession was like the audacity of the CEO guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thinks the problem, people are telling him the entire time he's building the Titan submersible, the entire time people are telling him you can't use carbon fiber for deep sea ocean diving. Not to be an asshole, but just the math ain't mathing. Like, it's just math. Like, carbon fiber will not hold against an ocean full of water. Like, it's just not possible. And so he's thinking the problem is they just can't see my vision. No, my dude, they see your vision and they're telling you it will implode. And they knew it would implode. He tested before they even built it. They built like a prototype and put it under extreme pressure testing.
Mm-hmm.
And it broke like within I think halfway down. It completely imploded. So they knew and he's like, you know what? Let's build the big thing. And it's like, why don't you just find a different material? Like I get titanium and steel are expensive, but like my dude, like I'm no physicist. I'm not even a science person, but I know if the math doesn't math, like you're gonna implode.
So, thing is with carbon fiber, it's extremely strong under tension, but not compression. Which, when you're going to the bottom of the ocean, it's compression.
Yeah, and like for a fire extinguisher, it might be a good material. Like,
oh yeah, there's carbon fiber tanks for compressed natural gas and shit. Like, they work great.
Yeah, no, I know it can be a strong material, but not every material is strong for the right things. You know.
Yeah,
like
when you're
550 cable.
Especially for visiting the fucking Titanic.
When you're holding in pressure, carbon fiber is great. When you're holding out pressure, it's not great.
It literally breaks the carbon fibers. Like that's how they could tell if they were in trouble because they listened for the carbon fibers break. There's a Netflix documentary now on Ocean Gate.
Oh yeah.
And but as the story's happening in real time, and more people who either work there or who consulted with him, it's like he's trying to be audacious just to be audacious, and that spells audacious. Billionaires are the most dangerous kind because they think that their audacity will bring them greatness, and it usually kills someone.
I think that you will totally dig this clip that I'm about to play because it pretty much caveats right off of what you're saying right now. It's Bill Burr talking about the psycho CEO who sunk the Ocean Gate submarine.
So did you see?
Yeah, I'm sure he says the exact same thing, just funnier.
Yeah.
Did you see James Cameron talking about it?
Nah.
Like they had consulted him, and he's just like, "Yeah, that ain't gonna work, man."
Bro, yeah, check this little clip out. I think that everybody that's listening will enjoy it because Bulber's take on it's pretty fire. Feel free to comment in the chat along.
I don't even know where to begin with this guy. Full on narcissist, psychopath. This is psychological makeup. It's called the dark triad. And any person who's not a fucking narcissist should know about it and should be looking for these traits in people so you don't date it, you don't work for it, it's not in your life or anything. It's basically three sides of the triangle. It's narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopath. And just know that all of those are like, they don't have to be 10 out of 10. You can just be on the spectrum. And that fucking personality, you combine that with the greed of corporations, that personality is what ascends to the CEO level. And it
Yeah, think about that. Like narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. How many politicians can you think of fit in that dark triad?
Yeah, like, and then so, like, I just became obsessed with the story because you not only have the dark triad of billionaire CEOs going on there, but then you also have treating Titanic. Like, I get it's fascinating. I'm fascinated by Titanic. But at the same time, it's a cemetery. Obviously, the bodies are long gone. A lot of shit is long gone from Titanic. But they were just so disrespectful to the gravesite. Like, 900 people, only like over 1,000 people died in that sinking. Like, show some respect for the legacy, and you know, this billionaire CEO. I don't know if he was the billionaire. He was a billionaire of the time of Titanic.
So they don't even let people visit the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and so many fewer people died there.
One of the most interesting things about the Titanic is reading about the people who actually survived it, and not just told the tales, but also there was a lady that survived it and then went on another ocean liner by White Star and had the same fucking problem.
Yeah,
it was actually the sister ship of the Titanic. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that, like, I thought was the most audacious, and this submersible was doomed to fail, is because Titanic's billionaire CEO, even though he was a billionaire at the time, not necessarily an actual, like, billionaire, he said the ship was unsinkable. There was nothing, even though that's a bold claim because you never tried to sink it, but I digress. So they named it Titanic because it would defy God. Even though the Titans were eventually defeated by God, you know, if you really want to get technical, I digress. So then this asshole billionaire CEO names something that he knows is not unsinkable and names it Titan.
I mean, just the sheer hubris of it.
The hubris. Yes, that's it. The hubris of it. To name it. Like, it was doomed from the start. You thought you could defy physics.
So you're telling me I shouldn't name my ship the USS Fuck God?
No, it should be the HMS.
I mean, I think that would probably have a better success rate than naming it Titanic and then saying it can't be sunk.
Best
like,
boat name I've ever seen.
Unsinkable.
It said Sailor on the back, Sayler, and it was done in the Slayer font. So that's the best boat name I've ever seen. I'm gonna get back to this Bill Barr clip. So check this out.
It rewards them because every quarter, no matter how much a corporation makes money, it's not enough and they need to make more. So at some point, what they have to do has to start becoming underhanded, and that's what weeds out decent people. Same thing in politics. Why can't we get somebody decent who's not an absolute psycho to run for fucking president? Because they get weeded out. You get these fucking dark triad psychos in there and they can fucking do it. And you watch this, I'm bringing it back to this submarine thing. The guy was a full-on fucking psycho. Total fucking narcissist, right there. Right there. You cannot get into a submarine, an airplane, anything where your life is at risk and have a narcissist at the fucking controls. He's a god. Nothing's going to happen to him. And he's not even thinking about you or the risk, your life, or who loves you or whatever, right? Machiavellian shit. Anybody who blew the whistle on this guy, on his carbon fiber, stupid fucking submarine, he would ruin their lives.
That day, Stockton told me it would be nothing for him to spend $50,000 to ruin somebody's life.
Did he say that to you in regards to David?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a fucking...
That's crazy. Like, it only takes 50,000 to ruin somebody's life completely. And there's people in this earth that just sneeze 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, like what you were talking about naming earlier, I actually once worked on a project for a spacecraft called Icarus.
Oh, wow.
That was cool. Yeah. And I was just like, why are they making our section of the project about the guy that flew too close to the sun and crashed and burned? Like, this is bad.
How about we don't name our project about anything that has to do with failure?
Yeah, probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
Icarus is a story you tell when you
naming,
talk about failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get the Titans were really strong, like, you know, in the, I guess, biblical sense. Yeah, they're really strong, but they were still like, yeah, like, why are we naming shit after things that had epic fails? Like, not just failure, like epic failures.
You mean like naming bases after Confederate generals?
That is even, don't even get me started.
Let's name our ship. Let's name our ship the Prometheus, because all it's going to do is push a big fucking rock up a hill forever.
No, that's Sisyphus. Prometheus stole fire, and now he gets his fucking entrails ripped out every morning
by a big eagle.
That's the no good deed goes unpunished. Like.
Yeah, indeed. Hey, dude, we really appreciate it because fire's pretty fire. Thanks.
Right. Now we have cars. Ha.
That psychopath is anything from, you don't have to be an axe murderer. It can be literally like petty theft or whatever. And what this guy was doing was, you know, and lying for no fucking reason. God, I guess he had reasons to lie. But they were showing this guy, you know, testing this sub out. And he had this one guy who actually knew what the fuck he was doing, going like, first of all, you should not be testing this out with any people in it. And he was just like, he would get like mad. He would get fucking mad. So this fucking lunatic got in the goddamn sub himself. They showed him. And you heard, as he's going deeper and deeper, you heard the carbon fires snapping. And he's going, oh, that's not a good sound. No, you don't like to hear that. You'd see him every once in a while get a little bit nervous. Like, no. He started calling it seasoning the hull. You got to break some eggs. You got to break some carbon fiber to make a fucking sub, right? With every one of those things that was snapping, obviously the whole structure was becoming weaker. He also like had some sort of degree in like physics, but and the guy was saying, but he didn't fucking understand it. He didn't understand what the fuck he was doing. I don't think that he didn't understand it. He understood it enough to pass the test. But when you walk around and you think you're a god, you don't understand mortality.
Rush says his submersible is one of the safest forms of transportation in the world.
By the time we're done testing,
he didn't understand what fatigue
I believe it's pretty much.
When you walk around thinking you're a god, mortality doesn't exist. It reminds me of Power Slave by Iron Maiden. You know, the pharaohs, like, I've been a god my whole life. Why am I dying? Like, this isn't supposed to be me. Like, this applies to other people.
So materials, any material, it fatigues. The more stress cycles it undergoes, the weaker it gets. That's just how it works. That's why shit only lasts a certain amount of time. And it's
That's
the
why
same
you can't rebend a paperclip,
right?
like, in a perfect way.
Only so many times, and then you're fucked. And yep.
It's seasoning it, apparently.
Yeah.
It really does sound like some shit like a billionaire narcissist would say.
It's not cast iron. My God. Like, what's wild to me, what upsets me, not like, is like what breaks my brain about this guy, right? Is that, you know, I think I know more about physics than the average bear, but I know nothing about physics, right? And I know this stuff. Like, I know this. And how can the he went to an Ivy League, I think. He was like, he got C's in all of his, because I've seen the whole documentary. He got all C's in his engineering classes. So, like, he really has no business being in there. You know, grades don't always mean you're an idiot. But at the same time,
but money doesn't always mean you have brains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're going to use your Ivy League education as your selling point for why you're smart, I'd prefer you not be a C student.
Let's see. He went to
Just saying.
he went to Princeton, and then he went to University of California, Berkeley. Yeah.
Like, and, you know, because, you know, I had a really shitty GPA in my undergraduate, because I just, like, when I don't want to do something, I don't do it. So I hated being a music major. So, you know, I damn near failed out. But at the same time, the classes that I did really well in was when I changed my major. And that should say something. You know what I mean, grades aren't always indicative of how smart you are. But at the same time, if that's what you're going to use as your selling smart point, sorry, you're seeing.
Yeah, it's like I was an awesome student in undergrad school. I graduated magna cum laude. I'm a shit employee, like, because I'll talk back to you and I'll be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, no, this isn't gonna work. Like, what are you thinking?
So
don't hire me.
Too. This story,
right?
This story didn't get picked up by the media when this happened, but because I was obsessed with OceanGate, and it broke my brain, so like I had to understand this. OceanGate, the company, their, I guess, new CEO was talking about going to fucking Venus. Now, for the kids in the class that don't know about Venus, Venus literally rains sulfuric acid, okay? And has like wind speeds of like 800 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's completely unlivable.
And the dynamic pressure of those winds is way, way more than it would be on Earth because the atmosphere is 90 times as dense. Yeah, that's a problem. Big problem.
Not only that, like, you have to get there in space, which is a completely different system that you would need. And then to get into, even if you could get to Venus, I'm not sure the same craft could go to Venus because of the different pressure compositions of the atmosphere. Like, it's 800 fucking why would you want to go to Venus when it's a literal hellscape?
So
like it's a literal fucking hellscape. So
the Soviets back in the 60s or 70s actually did land a couple of crafts on Venus and sent back pictures. The Venera 1 and 2 probes.
Yeah.
They lasted a few minutes.
It's completely livable,
like,
completely.
If you can't handle going down a few miles into the water, then your company is not ready to go a few million miles to Venus and then battle a literal hellscape of condition. Like, if you were to ask me how I envision hell, like going to hell, like Venus.
What do we use to shield us from sulfuric acid rain? That's my question. I'm gonna fire this back up.
A whole lot of baking soda. You got to make yourself a volcano.
I bet you that company thinks that it can fix Venus with some baking soda.
So I had to shut it off. It's like all of these people were telling this guy not to do it, and all it did was get him mad. And he would stop talking to them, and then he would like fire them, and then literally
Like,
tell them,
I wouldn't set foot in a car they made or a bicycle. Nevertheless, putting my ass on a spaceship and going to Venus, like, you must be high. Go to Venus, you fucking idiot. Oh yeah, Elon Musk, like, when he can successfully launch 5 rockets in a row without one exploding, then I might consider getting on one of his rockets to go somewhere. Until then, absolutely not.
So someone
Absolutely not.
Someone in this server the other day told me that's like, oh, but Starship is like the heaviest launch vehicle we have. They can do 100 tons to low Earth orbit. It's like, so far they haven't done any. They haven't made low Earth orbit.
Like, has he, aside from the Bezos dick rocket, like, has any of theirs actually... I know they say that Elon's rocket's the one that retrieves astronauts. Is that true, or is he lying about that too?
So the Bezos dick rocket doesn't go to low Earth orbit. It's a suborbital trajectory. Elon's rocket, the Dragon, actually does, yes, it does, retrieve astronauts that were stranded by Starliner, Boeing's rocket. But that launches off his old platform. That's not the Raptor. The Raptor's the new one, the Falcon. That launches on a Falcon, and it's one of the very, very few human-rated rockets that's around. So, like, I worked on a spacecraft, not human-rated. So, yeah, human-rated rockets are really hard to find, and basically what we got right now is, in the United States, we got the Dragon capsule, and what's the other one? There's one other. It's a Boeing Starliner. That's it. Those are the human-rated capsules that we got. Yeah.
Man, you learn something new every day. That's what's up.
Yeah,
that's why you tune into another fucking thing, not just to hear us rant about the current political topics, but also to learn about shit you had no fucking clue about before you came here.
Yeah, I worked in aerospace. I know a thing or two about this.
Ciao. Let's hit the rest of this podcast. Hold on a second.
Fuck yeah.
that if they blew the whistle on him, he was going to ruin their lives. So then they had to like try and carefully get the word out that you should not get into this guy's fucking submarine. I highly recommend, especially if you came from a nice family, that you read up on these fucking people so you realize, you know, what you're working with, what you're getting in bed with, and all of this shit. And these fucking people, they lie. They don't give a fuck. Anyway, so I highly recommend watching it. It's, I mean, the footage of this guy going under the water and you're hearing the carbon fiber wires snapping. Oh, dude, and one thing that they did, you know, to seal something on the sub, they took the same shit that, you know, for a spray-on truck bed liner. He went around any sort of third-party inspections of it. He's like, yeah, we don't need to fucking do that. We don't need to fucking do that. We're not fucking doing that. And it's just like, I guess once you get out in international waters, they have no authority, so you just fucking do whatever you wanted to do. That guy and his estate, you know, whatever's left of it, from all of those victims should be sued again, and then taken into civil court, sued again. I mean, the guy just, from his own out-of-control narcissism and whatever, just a completely avoidable tragedy, and he killed all of those fucking people. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so yeah, look that shit up, the Dark Triad. Like, my next Google search is going to be narcissists and the people who work for them. It's unreal. They ascend to these levels of power because they will get the fucking, air quote, job done no matter what. And then they have this power, and then they have the ability to destroy the lives of decent people. And
yeah, it's not like that means just because they've been handed that power that they're competent with that power, or that they're going to use it wisely in any way.
like, just because you have, like, I never once in my life, and I never understood this, and, like, with Elon Musk, I never understood why people were so enamored and thought he was such a visionary. Because I thought it was common knowledge that most of his endeavors he did not come up with. Just because you have billions doesn't mean you're smart. Doesn't mean you're capable of a lot of things. Now, has he made some, like, you know, some of his companies, sure, he's made some good contributions to. But for the most part, like, he's not.
It helps to hire smart people, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't actually have an engineering degree, or he's never studied like, he doesn't actually know about engineering.
Hold on.
Right?
I'm going to counter that because Elon Musk has the exact same degree that I do, which is a bachelor's of science in computer science. And yes, it is an engineering degree.
But, like, I mean, in like, the shit he does, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he couldn't do it on his own.
Oh, absolutely
Like,
not.
he can't.
No person.
Like, he couldn't sit there and say, I know why it's exploding. He needs somebody else to come work on it to say, this is why it's exploding. Right?
It's why I encourage him to completely start his own party and siphon off half of MAGA to it. Go ahead, please. Like,
no person could run those companies by themselves. The reason those companies had worked until now is because they were insulated from his incompetence by people who did know how to run a fucking company beneath him.
What was the story you told me about? You had the program that made it look like you were busy at work.
I remember that one.
Oh,
you were saying that basically you had some sort of screen up that when the boss would walk by, it actually made it look like you were doing more work than you were actually doing.
I mean, I had code on my screen all the time, but like, no, like I just automated a bunch of shit using shell scripts, and yeah, I was able to get shit done really fast, so I looked like a miracle worker. I don't remember ever really having to fake anything because I had my own office.
Oh, no. That was a meme we were talking about where he was talking. It was the person that said they worked for Elon, and he said that they had like this. It was a screensaver of like just various code going or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And I thought he was like, you've had to be able to pacify stupid bosses, but I don't think you used the exact same method.
No, I didn't. I just made up shit and talked. Yeah, and like I said, a lot of my stuff was automated at some point in my job because after several months of doing the same job, you know what tasks you need to do, and you just write shell scripts and shit and just get them. It can do them really fast. Like I remember one time, like my boss was like, "Oh, we gotta reprogram like 40, 50 different like fucking servers before we go home." And it's like, all right, well, you take half of them, I take half of them, and we go. And like, I just went back to my office, wrote a fucking script. It took about 15 minutes. And then I just like hit enter and it just goes and does all of them. And then like, yeah, I just like walk into his office 15 minutes later and I'm just like, it's done. And he's just like, you're done already? He's like, I've gotten through like 5 of them. I was like, no, all of them are done. Every single one of them. we're good. Let's go home.
It's like the positive version of what happens in Office Space with the money.
Right? And he's just like, really? And he just logs into the next one.
It's fractions of a penny.
But yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's done. I just wanted to go the fuck home. Like, give me a reason to do things faster. Like, if I want to fucking go home, then yeah, you'll get your shit done fast.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is one of the best incentives I would use for my people that worked underneath me, that I would delegate, duties to in the Navy. It was constantly like, if we get shit done, I can get some of y'all sent home early. You want to talk about gets people fucking busting ass to get shit done. They know they can go home early. That's a hell of an incentive right there. Well, let's go ahead and finish out the rest of this this Ocean Gate business.
And they will do it because they don't give a fuck, because they don't feel feelings. Because in their head, you're wrong. They're a god. How dare you question me? These rules and regulations, that's for mere mortals. I know what I'm doing. Sorry, I don't know. I know that was a little dry and a little dark, but you gotta fucking, you gotta see it. Everyone who's alive from that fucking Ocean Gate, it's kind of funny that he would call it that, Watergate, Ocean Gate, like something dishonest. He almost was like admitting that something, Ocean Gate. Why gate? Gateway down to the
Makes a
Titanic.
point.
I have no idea. And I also, to be honest with you, I have no understanding why video
Why would
footage
you call
of the
your company
Titanic
Seagate?
isn't enough.
I mean, never
you
mind.
know? I think because it happened so long ago, people forget about all the lives lost. You know what I mean? Like, I've never gone down to that, the 9/11 World Trade Center monument thing. I just can't get myself to do it. It's just too fucking sad to me. And I know I'm going to go down there and someone's going to be doing something or saying something disrespectful. It's going to fucking piss me off. So I just avoid going down there. So why the fuck you would want to go down there to see this fucking boat where everybody, you know, died that tragic, lonely, fucking terrifying death is beyond me. Now that I've said all that, check it out, man. It's very educational. And if you watch it, don't just look at this guy like, dude, this guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's got a couple of screws loose. No, that guy was the CEO of a company and got a whole bunch of, I don't know where he got his money, you know, but how those people work, it's never their money. He had a startup submarine company that went through no sort of regulations from any sort of governing third party, and he took a bunch of people down and he fucking killed them. It's
A startup submarine company is not a word that often gets thrown around. Holy shit. You know how much money you have to have a startup submarine company?
I have a startup rocket company. You know, like that flat earther that did a startup rocket company and blew himself up with a steam rocket. That guy?
I thought you just meant what happens when you wake up in the morning.
All right. Maybe me and you, but I don't know about anyone else.
What? Huh?
So, like, you know, going back to, like, our initial conversation about beta cucks and alpha cucks, like, the 19-year-old didn't want to go because he didn't think it was safe. This is, like, on a separate, this really isn't talked about at all in the documentary. This is because I was obsessed. I watched every little fucking thing I could about Ocean Gate. So the 19-year-old did not want to go on this trip. He did not think it was safe. Like, he really was like, I don't know, dude. This seems really shifting. And the father who went with him is basically saying, don't be a pussy. Come on, this is going to be awesome. And so it's the alpha cuck attitude that will get you killed.
Don't you want to visit the unrested souls of the dead? It is it's a great family vacation.
Like, and now that boy's poor mother, I don't know if his mother and father were still married, but like his poor mother now lost her son because his father
sucked.
Is an alpha cuck. And oh no, it's fine. Are you sure about that? Are you sure? Like, because I know that if I'm offered a trip down to see Titanic, like, before I don't give a fuck who the hell is paying for it. I'm researching the shit out of that company before I actually go in that thing.
Yeah,
because
getting crushed in a submersible does not sound like how I want to go out.
Well, at least it's quick. I heard it's a quick death. Like, you're dead before you even know it. So for that sake, you know.
I guess there's a silver lining to every cloud.
Yeah, like, I mean, so they didn't suffer. Like, it's not like a grueling death. But they probably knew they were going to die because, you know, they lost communication and, like...
I mean, with as fast as the implosion happened, basically what happened is the people on board returned to pink slime. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like something out of Event Horizon.
It's not pretty. It's like some of the first people to go to the Marianas Trench. Yeah, they heard cracking in their submarine too, and
Whoosh.
they're just like, well, if shit goes wrong, that's it. Like, we ain't gonna know. It's
I mean,
gonna be that fast.
It's honestly the best thing you can say is thank God for small miracles.
I mean,
Yeah,
well, you
like-
didn't serve on a submarine, did you, Skip?
No, I never did. I was on a carrier.
Yeah, so
Like,
like,
okay,
if you're talking about like submarines going down, like the Kursk, so when the Kursk went down, it was getting flooded, and the problem there isn't just the water coming in; it's the fact that the pressure outside is like 200 atmospheres, and it's pushing water in, and it's compressing the air inside. So that's why they had huge fires, because there was huge pressures of oxygen in there.
Fuck. What were you saying, Allison?
oh, no, like, there's this, I'm sure y'all saw it at the time because they played this clip a lot online when Ocean Gate was happening in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the difference of what one atmospheric pressure unit will do to that, like, railroad car, that tank. Like, they put, like, a cylindrical tank, on a rail car, and they added, like, 1 atmospheric pressure more than what we are, and it just, like, crushes it. Like, and
So-
I think it's, like, 14 atmospheres that far down in the ocean.
So, like,
that...
now we get to talk about Elon Musk being a dumb. Again, remember the Hyperloop?
I think
The
so.
It's a vac train. It's a vacuum, what it is. But anyway, like he's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be able to go so fast, so blah blah blah. But here's the thing you don't know about a vacuum train or any kind of vacuum line, is that there's a huge amount of pressure from the atmosphere pressing down on it. And again, this is compressive strength, not tensile strength, which he also didn't take into account. And it's like, and also, if there's a breach in the vacuum line anywhere along the line, everything downstream of the line gets shot out the other end, speed of sound. So yeah, that's another reason the Hyperloop is a really bad idea. Really bad idea.
So basically, it's like one of those bank tubes, like like you put the thing in the canister and you put it in the little compartment and it shoots it into the building. Is that what he was trying to build?
I've really realized why him and Trump ended up being friends, because both of them really don't know shit or dick about much, but both of them act like they do until the time comes where the rubber meets the road, and then everything actually does go to shit, and then obviously somebody takes the blame for it. But yeah, I mean, neither of them really, whether it's governance on Trump's part or aerospace engineering on Musk's, neither of them really know what the fuck they're talking about, but they've been able to convince a lot of rubes that they do.
Yeah.
And the Epstein files is just the latest example of them getting completely duped out. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream.
Yeah, if you want to know what it looks like, look up what a vacuum cannon looks like. And that's what happens when a vacuum line is breached. It shoots everything downstream out at the speed of sound. It's nuts.
Wow.
Damn, that was really good animation. Say, I can see her fucking vertebrae.
I can see her clavicle.
Yeah, there's some pretty good, like, damn near realistic animation capabilities.
Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us today for an another fucking thing where we tear apart the topics of the day and talk about this, that, and the other. If you give a good goddamn about your liberty and your freedom, as always, make sure you listen to Tony Michael's podcast. Until then, later, skaters. Go to skipfransjr.net for podcasts.
Record player that I could just spin records all the time.
I run into the bathroom and I'm covered in blood. Like I had put my tooth through my bottom lip.
For music. For gaming and pro-liberty game rants. That's skipfransjr.net.